Okay, I never thought I'd be saying this, but I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy at the age of 26. That's not exactly the milestone that I was looking for in my mid-20s, but okay. And if that's something that you thought that just an older person would deal with, yeah, I thought so too, but here we are. So trigger warning, if you don't like talking about poop stuff or butt stuff, I would say just skip this video and maybe watch the next one, or you can go back to watch my mini cinematic video that I made prior to this, because this is my GI story. So let's get into it. So I am just looking over the video and I am on a lunch break right now. I realized that in the midst of editing or looking over the video to make sure everything is okay, that I forgot to include what I meant by wall. When I mention wall in this video, I basically mean constipation, and if I say flow, it means diarrhea. I just don't want to have to keep saying those two words just in case, like, just in case it's just too much TMI that I keep saying that. Yeah. So fast forward to late September, I was heading to a Pitbull concert. And before my Pitbull concert, I was gonna go to the pharmacy to pick up a prescription. And I felt a sharp pain in the back of my throat. And I thought to myself, well, that's great, I'm getting sick. I was like, do we cancel or go home? Or just send it? And this was a concert that I had to drive 3 to 4 hours just to get there. And so I was just like, yeah, we're not canceling that, we're going. And also, I think at that point I've had a hotel planned out too and everything. So I was like, yeah, we're not gonna cancel this. So the pain did linger all weekend, but no other symptoms did show up. That feeling in the back of my throat never fully went away. It turned out to feel like a sensation that GI world calls globulous. It's like this globulous feeling in the back of my throat. But it also felt like a hair that was stuck there constantly. But if I thought about it way too long, it would have made me want to gag. Because just think about it, like a hair in the back of your throat stuck there. Yeah, it was horrible. So time went on and I impulsively bought my first time ever international flight to Mexico. That was the best decision ever. Originally, we had planned for 4 days. We ended up being there and we extended it to the 10 days. Up until that point, the wall was winning. I was chronically in the wall phase. But honestly, the sensation in my throat got easier to ignore. It was still there, but I ignored it. Honestly, I wish I would have vlogged that trip, because that trip was everything. I met family that I've never met before, and I did bring an American friend along as well, which was hilarious because my uncle only spoke Spanish and my friend only spoke English, and by the end of that trip, somehow they were besties. Like, they were always together and somehow they were communicating back and forth. My friend would pull out his phone and pull out the Google Translator, and it was the cutest thing to see. Now, we were warned before heading to Mexico to just be careful about the foods that we ate because things are a lot fresher there and the water could be contaminated as well. We were careful-ish, but the thing is, there was no way that I was passing up the bomb food. Both my friend and I, every single morning that we were in Mexico from almost day one, we were always flowing in the morning. Like, constantly. But really nothing ruined our days. Like, we were just fine right after that morning hiccup. And we still ate like champs. So I don't want people to think that my issues came from Mexico whatsoever. I've had these issues way longer than when I went to Mexico. It just only got worse literally fairly quickly after I got back from Mexico. So after I did get back from Mexico, I would say that I went a week or a little longer without having a bowel movement. Flow was not on my side. Sorry if you hear background noise, my dog is in the back sleeping. She's living the life right now. Again, so I was saying that flow was not on my side. So I did take a laxative, and yeah, let's just say it was game over from there. I would say that everything just went downhill after that. My upper stomach felt like it was on fire. I've never been diagnosed with an ulcer, but I can only imagine that's the pain you would feel if you were to have an ulcer. I wasn't diagnosed with that. It was just that that's what it felt like if I were to explain how I felt in that moment. So by Wednesday of the following week that I was back, so I came back from Mexico. It was like a week of the wall, and then I would say the following week, Wednesday, was when I finally had enough and I took a laxative. So the pain only got worse. So my mom had to take me to urgent care. Side note, my mom is incredible. She's been with me throughout this whole journey, and she's never left my side. Every appointment, every urgent care, every hospital visit, every GI colonoscopy, the endoscopy, like she was always there. Anyway, when I went to the urgent care, they just said it was a traveler's bug. So I was still hoping to recover quickly because my cousin was coming from out of town that weekend to celebrate my little sister's 21st birthday, and he was gonna go to Seattle and I was gonna drive up there as well to go see him. In a span of like 2 days, I lost so much weight. I lost 10 pounds. I couldn't eat. I was flowing everything that I was eating. So on Friday, we ended up going to the hospital. Because I just did not feel okay. The pain was so crippling. I just felt like rolling up in a ball in the bathroom and just staying there, like just staying there. Like it hurt horribly. And I would say that this is not usual pain that I've ever experienced before in my stomach. I don't know if maybe it was like the laxatives or whatever the case was. I was never told why or why I felt this way. But I went to the hospital and all they did is an ultrasound, and then they just sent me home with some medication that would help stop my flow, and I went on my merry way. So the medication helped stop things. My stomach was still kind of iffy, like I still felt kind of weak to eat or really to drink anything too. I was actually pretty dehydrated at that point. But I was like, yeah, we're not skipping this. My cousin planned it months ago. We had rented an Airbnb, and again, I was like, we're not missing this. I tell you, like, pain will not stop me from doing what I want to do. Like, that is one thing about me, is that it's almost very rare if pain knocks me out, and if it's knocking me out, then all hell breaks loose, because that's usually very abnormal for me. So finally, I was able to get in with a GI provider, but it wasn't until January 15 of this year. That's American healthcare for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, which I work very closely in, and I can guarantee you it is like this everywhere. So I couldn't be mad because we are in the same place. But they recommended me to go in for the endoscopy, the colonoscopy, and as well as a swallow test. If you're not familiar with any of those, the endoscopy is basically the camera scope that goes down into your throat, down to your esophagus, and your colonoscopy is one that goes in through the other end of your booty cheeks, and they go through your colon and they check. So they check for polyps, early signs of cancer, inflammation, any open sores or bleeding that you might be having. And going back to the endoscopy, it kind of tests for the same thing. Any cancers that might be lingering, any diseases that might be causing anemia or diarrhea. So I was able to get that appointment scheduled fairly soon after, actually. It was only about a month after that I was able to get in, and that was yesterday, February 24th. I will say that the prep was the worst part. So on Sunday, well, Saturday I kind of had to stop eating any crazy foods that would cause me not to digest it too quickly. So any foods with like fiber, any whole vegetables, or anything that just won't break down too easy. So I had to drink this massive jug of Go Lightly. It's basically a laxative-ish substance that cleans out your colon. I don't think it's a laxative necessarily, but it's something that just cleanses your colon. It's basically a prescription colon cleanser. I had to drink it in a glass cup in under 15 minutes. And I had to finish all this prior to, I think it was like 12 o'clock p.m. 12 o'clock p.m. I think it's a lot sooner than that actually. I had to drink it 6 hours before my procedure basically. But I was trying to finish it all within the night so I can go to bed and not have to wake up all night just to cleanse my colon basically. But honestly that didn't work because I still went to bed at like 1 a.m. and it was tough because then I had to wake up early for my procedure at 9:40. So now we're at Monday. My mom took me, bless her soul. So when we got there, a nurse gave her a pager and sent her to the waiting room. Meanwhile, I was taken and given a urine test and was sent to the bathroom for this test. Then in a tiny room, I was given a gown and I was told to undress. This was a pretty small room. I would say smaller than a regular doctor's office's room. So this was the room that I was brought back into and brought out of from my procedure. So this was like my room. So while I was in there, they asked me to undress everything except my socks. They also inserted an IV on my hand, which actually I feel like I still have this, like the bruise from it too. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. No, probably not. I don't know. It was still pretty, like, the vein like popped or something. So while the nurse was setting me up, she was asking me all these questions, all my history, all that stuff that nurses ask you. And then she had walked out, but she had said before that the anesthesiologist would walk in and also get my H&P, my history basically. And yeah, the anesthesiologist came in and y'all, this man was fine. He was a lot older, but handsome. He held eye contact really well. He was very mannered, very sweet. He was very chatty as well. He was asking if I've had surgery before. Then he proceeded to finish his portion of the visit and ended up leaving. Then after, my mom got paged to come back into the room. And let me tell you, when my mom came back into the room, it's like she knew what I was about to say. I was like, Mom, you missed it. The anesthesiologist was bomb. I was really hoping you got here before he left. She just laughed and she's like, of course you would say that. And then a nurse came in and it was go time. I kissed my mom goodbye and they finally rolled me out of the room and they rolled me into the next room over, not too far from the original room that I was in. And this room was small as well. I went in there, the anesthesiologist was in there, and there was another, I think he had introduced himself as a nurse, and the lady who had taken me out of my room was explaining to me that she would stay in the room with me as well. She didn't really introduce herself as any kind of nurse or any kind of doctor or anything like that. I think it was really solely for the purpose that because I was a female in that room and maybe the providers, them two were male providers. I think she was just gonna stick around. And then also a nurse student, I seen that she went in there as well. When she was there prior, I was talking to her and asking her about, nursing, house nursing school and all that stuff. So the student was in there, she walked in a little later. The anesthesiologist started asking me questions. So it looks like you went to Mexico while, they were getting me set up, doing a bunch of stuff around me. And they had put on the little nose cannula. And it was also like, I think it was like laughing gas, I believe. that same substance that they give you from when you go to the dental office and stuff. And let me tell you right now, that thing made me feel super loopy. I felt like I was a kid again. My mind was just, I was just in a happy zone. Like I was wanting to laugh and I was just kind of like all over the place until I started feeling pain in my hand. Like pain, like excruciating pain. I still remember this pain. It was like I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was just a really horrible pain. It hurt. I felt it. Although it was really loopy, like it still felt really, really horrible, honestly. But it wasn't long after until I was like put out. Like I was just gone. Back faster than I could even dream. Like it was very quick. Like I felt like I was put down and then woken back up in like seconds. But you know what? I am glad that that happened quickly, because I felt like as soon as I was in that loopy gas, I swear I would have said something so dumb. Like I was already thinking it. Like it was already brewing in my mind. Like, so doctor, you come here often? Like like I could already picture myself saying something so dumb, because I am so out of pocket sometimes, and like usually, you know, it's really easy to keep things in my head. My mom was like, what if you actually said it? And I was like, no, I remember it was the thoughts that happened right after they put that thing in my mouth, and I'm guessing that the tube, it's easier for the tube to go down and I'm not like biting on it or something. But it was funny. Next thing I knew, I was getting wheeled back into the room that I was in, and for some reason, like I started waking up even right before I was in that room, I think, if I'm not mistaken. My mom said I was laughing so hard. Like I was just giggling, I was laughing, and my mom was like, why are you laughing? And I was like, because the anesthesiologist saw my gia. I was just dying. I was like over here joking, and I said it so loud too. My mom was like, shh, they're gonna hear you. And I was like, let them hear it. And then I was like, okay mom, that's okay, I'm sorry, that's enough, I'm going to bed. And she's like, no, you gotta stay up, we have to go, you know, if you want to take a nap, you can take a nap at home, like you have to get going, like you have to get like waking up and stuff. And I was like, mom, just give me like 5 minutes, I promise, that's all I need is just 5 minutes. So I'm recording the rest on my phone just because I didn't realize that my phone battery was dying, and also I was letting my phone, okay, I can't even talk right now, it's so late, it's like 1 a.m. right now. But I forgot to record an outro to the video. What I was basically saying is that my IV came out of my hand while I was adjusting my pillow, so my blood was squirting all over the place, and so was the IV. And I was trying to figure out whether or not I was gonna go for the IV and stop the IV from going all over the place, or my blood. And obviously in my loopy brain, I was like, let's save resources, and so I stopped the IV instead of my blood, so my blood was just going all over the place. The nurse came and got it all situated. But yeah, so bottom line is, get yourself checked. Don't overlook symptoms that you might think that are iffy or questionable or uncomfortable. Literally, it's so important to be on the safe side instead. But thank you for watching. I know it was kind of long, and I hope you stick through it, but if you did, I really appreciate that. But yeah.